All right. Well, it's 11 o'clock. Reed, you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Another month. We're back. Hi, folks. Thanks for joining. My name is Gar Whaley. I'm the co-founder of Teal. I'm joined by my partner, Reed, who is our CIO. Reed, how's it going out in Minnesota today?
Uh, it's been a roller coaster of temperature and snow and wind. So today it's cold and windy and no snow. That's good.
Yeah. Here in Alexandria, there's a lot of pollen. Alexandria, Virginia, it's a lot of pollen out there, and my eyes are all welled up. And during this webinar, I might have to take a throat lozenger because I'm a little scratchy. But today, I think what we're going to talk about is a sort of a carryover from last month. We will be speaking about how to set up a Teams channel. Is that right?
Yeah, that and kind of best practices around setting up teams, different types of teams channels and so on. Yeah,
Fantastic. So we'll keep it to 20 minutes as we always promise. If you have questions as we're going through this, feel free to ask them in the chat. Brittany and Caden are in the backstage and will help us if we don't see a question. But looks like Reed's already sharing his screen.
yeah,
So let's get started.
cool. So the first kind of topic here is really to talk about best practices around teams and channels. So you want to think about a team as a group of people within your organization and really the channels as the separate workflows or the separate discussion threads that that group of people might have. So for example, like at Teal, we have an events team that has people from marketing, people from sales. I'm in it, others are in it. And then within that team, we have a separate channel for each event that we do because everybody really needs access to all of those different events. So that's one example. Another thing we see often is a team for each project that an organization might be doing because you'll have different people involved in different projects. Not everybody's involved in every project. You might have a team for each client. You know, maybe there's different discussion threads, finance related, and so on about each client. Different individuals might be part of that. You might also have a team for each vendor. You know, maybe dialogue with the vendor, dialogue about the vendor, files, and so on. So those are kind of some best
I
practices
mean,
around.
I find the most common one, Reed, at our clients and ourselves is team by department.
Yeah.
So sales, marketing, finance, that sort of thing.
Yep. Absolutely. So next we'll show creating a team. And here I'm in Teams, I'm in chat, and right up at the top here, I can select new and I can create a new team. Um, First thing I want to mention here is there's two different team types. There's private and public. Pretty self-explanatory. Public, anybody in the organization can join. So like we have an all-staff team for everybody in the organization. And when you join Teal, you get added to the all staff team. You might have a HR team that everybody has access to HR information. But then you can also have private teams. So private teams would be those examples that I talked about, different clients, different projects, and so on. So we'll give our team a name here. We'll say tips and tricks, April, and I'm going to make this a private team. Uh, there used to be a requirement that every team had a general channel, and then Microsoft changed that. So now you can pick the name of whatever you want your home channel to be. So I'm just going to call it home. You could call it announcements too, something like that. So I'm going to hit create. When you create your team, the next step is going to be adding some people to it and adding more channels. So we'll talk about that. This takes a second. Doing it live. Creating your team, stay on the screen. Here we go. Any good jokes, Gar?
It usually doesn't take this long to
Usually doesn't, no.
create a team.
Oh, look at that. We ran into a problem creating your team. Let me see. Let's try another one. We'll do a new team. We'll call it April Tips. We'll try again. Home. Create. Let's see. Second time's a charm. Nice work.
If I
Okay.
had to guess, it's because we were delayed in explaining things.
Maybe.
But
Yeah. So next we're going to add a member. So I'm just going to add, I have a demo user in our tenant. You're going to add members to your standard channel that you created first. That was the first channel that I created. So now I'm done. Okay, so now I'm in my team. And if I look at this here, I've got my home channel. I've got files that are related to this channel. And then I've got tabs that I can add to this channel. And this is where you can add different applications to your different teams channels. Okay. So like, for example, we could add a list, we could add a planner plan, and so on and so forth. Okay. I'm going to open up my teams list, and you see I've got a whole bunch of teams in the organization. This new team that I created, April Tips, is here at the bottom of the screen. So now I can click on the more options, and this is really where I can manage the team. I can add more channels, I can add more members, I can manage the settings of the team. I want to go into add a channel because I want to talk about the different types of channels. So there's 3 different types of channels. Standard channels, this is really for everybody that's in the team. I might have a channel about ideas for April. I might have a channel about marketing material for the April event. Private is a channel that only people that are invited, that are within my team, have access to. So maybe Gar and I were having like a backstage chat about the April event that no one else that might have access to the team has access to. But shared is really the most powerful channel. Shared channels, you can invite not only people within your team, but also people within your organization that are not part of this team. So the best use case for that is when we're talking about events, we could have all of our events team that's part of this channel, but then we might share it with someone else in our organization. We might share it with a sponsor of an event that's outside of our organization. So whenever you share access to a channel, there's some back-end security setup stuff that you have to go through first. You have to have your settings in your organization have to allow external guests to join. And that's something where your MSP or your technology partner can really help you with that. But I'm going to create a shared channel, and I'm going to call it, announcements, because people inside, people outside of the organization. I can give it a description. This is for announcements. You'll see it gives me the option of immediately sharing it with everybody that's part of this team. I'm going to hit create.
so just to recall, you're the only person and the demo user right now that are part of that team.
Exactly. But now I can invite someone else. So you're not part of this team yet, but I could say, I'm going to invite you to this channel. So I'm going to say Gar. It'll search through my directory, finds you. I can make you a member or an owner. So if you're a member, you just get to participate. If you're an owner, you can modify the settings. You can also invite other people. So most of your users that are part of a team or part of a channel, they're going to be members. So I'm going to share that with Gar. So now in my list here, you'll see I've got home. And then right above it, I've got announcements. And announcements has that little designation next to it that shows that it's a shared channel. See that, Gar?
Yep. And I just posted in it.
Yeah, there you go. So we can't do it on the tips and tricks today, but I could invite somebody outside of our organization that's with another company that could be part of this announcements channel. They're going to have access to the files that are in this channel. They're going to have access to the apps that are in this channel, but only within this channel. So people that are invited to this shared announcements channel, they don't have access to home. They don't have access to the files that are in home. They don't have access to the apps. What do you think about that? Pretty
Makes
easy.
sense.
Yeah, makes sense. So the value of standard, private, and shared for our organization, we spend most of our time with standard and shared channels because you can only invite certain people to shared channels anyways. I like a shared channel better than a private channel because a shared channel has more apps that you can add.
Is
Private
shared
channels
something
have
that's
some
relatively
limitations.
new or newer, Reid?
Yeah, it's relatively new. It's been around for some time. It it the big thing with a shared channel is the people that you invite that are outside of your organization. Those shared channels show up in their teams list. Where it used to be that if you invited someone to a standard channel, or even today, if you invite someone to a private channel, they actually have to kind of switch their team's environment. So they lose access to all their stuff when they're in your environment. So shared channels are really the best place to be.
That's a hard one to really wrap your head around if you haven't experienced it. But imagine if you wanted to go work with somebody in another organization, you'd have to go up to the right where Reid's picture is and drop down and choose
Yep.
another tenant rather than just seeing it in your own.
Yep. See it in the list.
Yeah.
Yep. So the next thing I want to jump into is managing. I'm going to go back up here to the very top level of this team, the three little dots. I want to manage the team. And this is really where I can access all of the different settings and configuration of the team. You have to be an owner to have access to this. So first off, I've got the two channels. You can see announcements and home. I can see all the members. So I've invited demo user. Now, why doesn't Gar show up? Because Gar is not a member of the team. He's only a member of the announcements channel. So that's important to be aware of that. Pending requests, this would be anybody that's asked to join the team. Settings, this is really the important one. So this is where you can create a picture, you can set permissions of what your members can do. So being a member of a team, creating channels, maybe you don't want members to create channels, you could uncheck that. Guests, same thing, you can modify settings there. When you mention someone in the team, put in a little @ you can identify what happens there. There's codes where you can share a link for someone to join the team directly, whether or not you want to allow gifts and things. So, but those are the settings at the team level.
So Reid, let me ask a quick question.
Yeah, yeah.
The Someone asked, is there a way to change from shared to private or standard after the team is made? Maybe I'm
No,
stealing your thunder. Sorry.
no, that's a good question and an important one too. When you create a channel, it's locked. You can't change it. So you want to put a lot of thought into the types of channels that you're creating. I really like shared channels because you've got the most flexibility. Standard channel, you can't convert to private. Private, you can't convert to shared. Shared, you can't convert to private. So that's really important. Yeah, good point. We kind of skipped over it at the beginning, but I also want to talk about when you're creating a new team, right up here at the top, you're creating from scratch. But there's also all of these templates that are available. So Maybe you've created a team about a particular project and you love the structure, you love the channel structure, you love how that's set up. You can create a team from another team in your organization just by clicking it. But Microsoft has all of these templates. So since we're on the topic of projects, I'll click on Manage a Project, and you can see the template wants to create a general channel, announcements, planning, resources, and then link a number of apps to the team to immediately make all of those apps enabled and available to those team members. So if I click use this template, it's going to create that team with that structure. Another example is adopting Office 365. So here, again, multiple channels, a calendar, milestones from Planner, and a wiki. So Microsoft has some pretty decent templates.
Hey, Reid, while I'll ask a couple questions here, think about, because we promised to keep these to 20 minutes and we're at about 15 minutes. We might go a little bit over here because there's a lot that Reid wants to get to. But while I ask these questions, think about the time frame. But good question here too. A couple good questions. Channels sound like I'm going to paraphrase this question. Channels sound like a good way to share information with committees or boards, assuming those are might be external people.
Yep.
Are there any downsides to that? And is there any way that Kevin can be notified when those people actually add content?
Oh yeah, those are great questions. So if you have members that are outside of your organization, often a board members are going to have their own email addresses, Gmail or something else. I would invite those members. I'm trying to scroll to see all of your teams. Here's an example one. If you're inviting those outside members, I would create shared channels for like board discussion. And then you could invite those members to that shared channel. You can create some notification settings within your own Teams environment to notify you when a channel is updated or notify when someone tags you. And we've covered some of that before, but you can go up to your little settings here and you can, or right here, settings. And you can jump into your notifications and activity. And this is where you can modify message notifications and so on, so that if somebody does post in that board channel, that you'll know right away.
Great. And then Kelly asked a question. I'm surprised I didn't ask it. It's a good question. Is in her team, she doesn't have the option to add a channel.
Yeah, so that's a security setting at the global level. So you want to talk to your IT administrator if, depending on the setting of your team. So if I go back into my April tips team, manage team, settings, member permissions. So depending on the team you're in, that may or may not be allowed. And then at the organization level, you may not have the option to create a new team. That may be something that your IT admin has to do.
I didn't add the part of the question that she asked. She asked if she had to go speak to her IT team. I just wanted you to answer. So, a couple more minutes, Reid. Is there any other top of mind things about setting or managing teams inside of teams that you want to point out?
Yeah, I really want to talk about, here we go.
You are in a lot of teams, Reid.
I have a ton of teams. I just do. I have a ton of teams. So here we go. Okay. We'll close this up so we can focus. Okay. So the thing that I really like about teams, we think about just chat, but look at the different apps that are available. So here we're in this announcements shared channel, right? So there's apps that I can add. I can add the lists app, for example, where I can track a list of things that our team, maybe we're tracking the date of each announcement, right? So I can create a list. Whenever you add an application to a team, it shows up right at the top of that channel as a tab. so everybody easily has access to it. So think about, maybe I want to have a document that everyone has access to immediately. Maybe I want to have Planner so
What's
that,
the number one that we use actually?
well, we use OneNote a lot. We use Planner a lot. I mean, we use a lot of these apps. What would you say?
Loop.
Yeah, we use Loop too. Loop, uh, when I think about Loop, I really think about using Loop within communication, not just kind of at
Right.
the tab level. But yeah, I get what you're
And
saying.
we've talked about Planner and Loop and those things on earlier tips and tricks. So
Yeah,
those are all recorded on our website.
yep, for sure. But definitely for each channel that you create, explore adding apps. And now when I click on it, it doesn't pop up anymore. But explore adding apps because that's really valuable to drive collaboration through those other apps, not just
Yeah.
through chat.
Uh, we're right at time, but anything else you want to squeak in there?
Um, one thing that I think is also overlooked. I wonder if I can get to it from here, right here. So when you're in a channel,
Yeah, this is a good
okay,
one.
when you're in a channel, email address. So many times we get an email and we want to have a lot of collaboration about it, but we don't want to have millions of emails flying around. And I don't know, now my Teams is acting up, but when you click get email address, you should have a box that pops up right in the middle of your screen, which will show the email address of the channel that you're looking at. So then if you get an email and you want to collaborate about that email, you just forward it to the channel. It shows
And
up
then
right here.
on earlier versions of tips and tricks, we showed the square boxes where you can click and just move it to a Teams channel.
Yep. Yeah. And that's from within Outlook.
Yep.
Yep. From within Outlook.
But where I find this one really beneficial in a business case is a lot of times we do all staff announcements, or the old way to do it when you send an all staff announcement or an announcement to your team is you emailed it out. Well, in these days, especially when you have folks inside their SaaS applications like their HubSpot or their ConnectWise, their PSA, um,
Yep.
their CRM, they're really not in their email too much. So I email those announcements directly to the channel that because everybody's in Teams all day, every day. So
Yep.
that's sort of the real world scenario I use it for. Whenever I make it, if I'm thinking because I'm older, to send an all staff email announcement, I don't email it anymore. I just email it right to the
Yep.
Teams channel.
Yep. Yeah. So that's a really useful overlooked
Yeah,
part.
so you and I have been doing this for a long time. The thing that I found most valuable in conclusion today is the types of channels. That's really the
Mhm.
most important part. And the reason I asked you if that shared channel was relatively new is because we've been adopted to Microsoft for many, many years, and we have some channels that would be better off in a shared scenario
Yep.
versus a standard scenario because once like in our marketing channel, for example, you have access to our marketing channel, right? And that was
Yep.
not set up as a shared channel, it was set up as a standard channel. So therefore, Reid has access to all our files and all our documentation, which is fine because he's Reid. But
But
let's say
now I'm blowing up your messages with all kinds of marketing ideas.
right, and that's what we want. We want that, but maybe not access to some other things. But in your
Right.
case, it's not an issue. But there's other people that we would want to join to just be involved in the communication, real
Yep.
time communication, not have access to some of the other things. And so that is, I think, the key point that I'm taking away from today is those three types of channels that you need to really think through because, as you said, you cannot change them.
Right. And that's where I think shared channels are really the most powerful and the most flexible. So that's what I go to immediately when I'm thinking about creating a new channel.
Great. Well, Reid, we're 4 minutes over. That's probably because there's even a lot more to talk to. Maybe we'll extend this into our next month. But
Yeah.
folks, for any more information, I think our marketing team's put a couple links up there. Also, our website, my email is on our website, so feel free to contact us directly. We do these every month. We also have a great new podcast that Reid and I are doing called Visionary IT. I'm happy to help. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll do better next time, sticking to that 20 minutes.
Good. Thanks. See you guys.
Thanks.